Alright, so we've got quite a few things going on with this trap right now, and I'll take a second here to explain them. First off, we have our counterweight, which is about a 30-pound rock tied to the end of a line. This line goes up over this tree, a branch in this tree, and comes right back down to here. Now the end of this line is going to tie on to a trigger stick right here. Now this trigger stick is supported on one end by a little notch cut into this tree, and then on the other end by a notch cut in this stake. Now across from this stake right over here, we have another stake into the ground. This one is very securely in there. It's in there about a foot pounded into the ground. Now across these two stakes we're going to have a tripwire ran. I bought this tripwire from an Army surplus store, and they give you two options. They give you a yellow option and a green option depending on what the environment is like. Now the yellow option would be for more sunlit areas, where the green option would be for areas like this, where it's full of dark colored leaves and shadows. So what I'm going to do is, although the green option would be preferable, I'm going to use the yellow option so it's easier to see on camera. So I'm just going to run this yellow tripwire between these two sticks here. Alright, you can now see that our tripwire has been ran across the trail between the two stakes. Now the next step is going to be to tie our trigger stick onto our counterweight. Alright, what we're going to do next here is to take our trigger stick, this stick right here, and right on this side, about an inch away from the end, we're going to tie that onto our line that's attached to our counterweight here. Alright, so what we're going to do here is to tighten up this line coming from our counterweight by pulling on the other end here. So we've got it nice and straight leading up to that branch right up there. Then we're going to take the end of our trigger stick and tie it on right about where my fingers are, and tie it to the rope about 6 inches down from where this is coming out of the tree here. Alright, there's our result. You can see how I've got that tied off just on the very end right there, and about between 4 to 6 inches down. Now when we make the noose for this trap, we want it to be above the ground when the trap has been triggered. So what I'm going to do is leave our counterweight on the ground, and I'm going to go ahead and tie a loop about 6 inches above the ground. There we go. There's our loop. Now, the reason I tie this loop 6 inches above the ground is because this is going to be the end of our noose. Now, when the trap is triggered and our counterweight falls, you want this noose to be at least 6 inches above the ground to prevent the animal from escaping. If we were to tie the loop right at the end of the line, the animal would be right on the ground and the noose would never tighten. Well, that's it. This trap is fully built. Now we just need to set it. So I'm going to go ahead and pull on this end of our line while lifting the rock. Alright, our counterweight has been fully raised, so what I'm going to do is prop this end of the stick into the notch in the tree, and then the other end I'm going to put into the notch in our stake, and then I'll allow it to tighten up here. just like that. Now let me explain step by step how this trap is going to work. Firstly, we have our counterweight held by our trigger stick right here. Our trigger stick is supported by a notch in the tree and a notch in this stake. Now this stake is only in the ground about 4 or 5 inches, so it's free to move slightly when it's pulled on. When our tripwire is pulled, this stake is going to swing out, releasing our trigger stick and allowing the weight of our counterweight to pull on our noose here.